Confident woman mocked for asking about first-class upgrade. 10 minutes later, she fires the entire team at an airport counter. A poised and self-assured woman approaches the airline counter to inquire about a first-class upgrade, only to be met with ridicule and smug condescension. The employees assume they know who she is, but in just 10 minutes, their arrogance turns into regret as their entire world flips upside down. What did she do that left them stunned and out of a job? And who is she really? Stay tuned for a powerful story of quiet strength, sharp justice, and an unforgettable lesson in respect. The airport buzzed with its usual energy, boarding calls echoing through the terminals, travelers dragging rolling suitcases, and the scent of fresh coffee wafting from nearby kiosks. Standing in line at the airline service desk, Danielle Lawson exuded an air of composed confidence. Dressed in a well-fitted navy blazer over a soft cream blouse and tailored slacks, she was the embodiment of quiet elegance. She clutched the handle of her leather carry-on, waiting patiently for her turn. Danielle had no need for extravagance, no entourage, no flashy displays, just herself, moving through the world as she always had, with quiet power and unwavering self-assurance. Today was no different. She had spent days in back-to-back meetings and sleepless nights managing high-level negotiations. A first-class seat wasn't about luxury, it was about necessity. When she finally reached the counter, she offered a polite smile. Angela, a young woman with a penchant for twirling her pen in boredom, barely glanced up. Beside her, Mark, adjusting his tie distractedly, didn't acknowledge Danielle at all. Clearing her throat softly, Danielle maintained her poised tone. Good afternoon. I'd like to ask if there are any first-class upgrades available for Flight 308 to Chicago. Angela raised an eyebrow, exchanging a smirk with Mark. First-class upgrades? She repeated, as if Danielle had asked for a seat on a spaceship. Mark leaned in, his grin patronizing. Let's just say they're not exactly cheap. You sure about that, ma'am? Asterisk asterisk. Danielle's brow lifted slightly, but her voice remained smooth. I understand the cost. I simply need to know if one is available. Another glance between them. A silent, smug conversation. Let me check, Mark drawled, typing slowly at his keyboard, making a show of sighing exaggeratedly. Angela, chuckling, muttered just loud enough to be heard. First class isn't for everyone. Asterisk asterisk. The sting of their words hit Danielle like a familiar slap. She had fought these battles too many times before. Boardrooms, luxury hotels, five-star restaurants. The assumption that she didn't belong, that she wasn't worthy of a space in a world she had worked relentlessly to enter. Danielle's fingers tightened subtly around her carry-on. She refused to give them the satisfaction of seeing her frustration. Instead, she reached into her blazer pocket, pulled out her phone, and dialed a number. Her voice was measured, professional. Hi, this is Danielle Lawson. I'm at the airport, gate 23B. Could you send Mr. Whitmore down here immediately? We need to handle a personnel issue. Angela scoffed. Wow, pulling in the big names. You think we're scared of a manager? Mark grinned, leaning on the counter. Yeah, ma'am, I'm sure someone important will come to help you. Asterisk asterisk. Danielle simply tucked her phone away and stepped aside. She didn't need to say anything. The knowing curve of her lips was enough. Passengers around her began whispering, sensing that something was unfolding. A middle-aged man in a crisp gray suit stepped forward, concern flickering in his expression. Ma'am, is everything all right? Asterisk asterisk. Danielle turned to him with an appreciative smile. Thank you. It will be handled shortly. The tension thickened. Angela and Mark still wore their smug expressions, but the energy in the air was shifting. People weren't just watching. They were waiting. 7 minutes passed. Mark tapped his fingers against the counter, fidgeting. She's bluffing. Angela, less certain, whispered back. If she really knew someone important, they'd be here by now. And then, polished black shoes entered Danielle's peripheral vision. She didn't need to look up to know who they belonged to. Mr. Whitmore, the regional director, strode toward the counter, his presence sharp and authoritative. Angela's face paled. Mr. Whitmore? What are you doing here? Ignoring her, Mr. Whitmore turned to Danielle. Ms. Lawson, I apologize for the delay. I came as soon as I got your call. Asterisk asterisk. The silence that followed was deafening. Angela's mouth fell open. Mark's face drained of color. Danielle met Mr. Whitmore's gaze with quiet authority. Thank you for coming. There's a situation here that needs immediate attention. Mark stammered. Wait. Who is she? Mr. Whitmore didn't spare him a glance. Ms. Lawson is one of our most valued corporate partners. She's been instrumental in several major business agreements that keep this airline running. Danielle turned back to Angela and Mark. Her voice soft yet firm. First class isn't about appearances. It's about professionalism, respect. I expected better from this airline. Mr. Whitmore's expression hardened as he addressed them. Is this true? You mocked a paying customer? Failed to provide even basic courtesy? Their silence spoke volumes. Danielle exhaled slowly, her decision unwavering. They can explain themselves to HR. Effective immediately, they are no longer employed with this airline. Angela gasped. Wait, you can't. She can, Mr. Whitmore snapped. And she just did. Security personnel stepped forward. The murmurs in the crowd grew louder as the two employees were led away in stunned silence. Danielle turned back to Mr. Whitmore. Now, about my upgrade. Right away, Ms. Lawson, he replied swiftly. As she followed him toward the gate, quiet applause rippled through the terminal. Danielle allowed herself a small smile. 10 minutes. That was all it had taken to turn the tables. Seated comfortably in first class, Danielle let out a slow breath. A flight attendant set a crystal glass of sparkling water in front of her. For you, Ms. Lawson. Let us know if there's anything else you need. For the first time that day, she allowed herself to relax. She glanced at her phone. A message from her assistant awaited her. All clear. Angela and Mark are officially terminated. HR will follow up. Danielle exhaled. Setting the phone down, she didn't revel in their firing. There was no joy in it, but there was necessity. People needed to learn that actions had consequences. As the plane lifted into the sky, Danielle closed her eyes. Her father's words echoed in her mind. When you're climbing, people will throw stones. Keep moving, or you'll fall beneath them. A small smile played on her lips. She had kept moving, and nothing, not a smug glance, not a dismissive laugh, would ever stop her from rising.